Thank you so much, honestly, for this honor. I initially wasn't the person who was supposed to make this presentation. A colleague of mine was, and he spoke to me saying that, hey, there's some guys who are working on something. See if you can help them. So I didn't know what oikos is, to be honest. I just Googled it. Take a look, and I said, definitely I have to do this because honestly, anything that helps in making the world a better place, especially coming with respect to education, is something that I find dear to my heart. I teach in the university, so I'm very, very honored, and it's a pleasure having to do this. So I'll be sharing my screen in just a second, please. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So again, thank you very much for this honor, and I'll try to be very quick without missing a lot. Again, this is a topic that I find quite interesting because I do a lot of, right now, actually working on a consulting gig that deals with sustainable financing related to the tannery sector. So this is something that is quite topical and something that really we need to pay attention to. So this is a quick outline of what I'm going to be presenting today, really to give us a sense of what sustainable financing is, what is ESG, why is this important, why are you guys actually looking at this point in time. I'll look at some sustainable finance case studies just so that we can contextualize what I'm talking about using concrete or practical examples. Clearly, there are some challenges and opportunities. I would highlight those, and I'll highlight some sources of sustainable finance so that my thinking is if we have any entrepreneurs with us today who are trying to do something and they're looking for accesses to sustainable finance, they'll be able to do it through this means. Okay, so sustainable finance to me, really, it's an idea that says instead of the cookie cutter definition of what finance should be about, which is essentially profits, we really want to go beyond profits to look at other impacts with respect to environment, social, or governance factors. So clearly, companies and individuals who go in making an investment decisions tend to do so with an eye of making financial profits. But if we broaden the view to say that we actually want to look at other factors as well, maybe we'll be able to impact our environment while at the same time doing good as well. And I'm going to take a look at what these ESG factors actually stand for. Yeah, ESG considerations. So what I just said initially is that investment decisions are made based on profits, but there's this new concept of sustainable finance that says, let's go beyond profits and look at other factors as well. And those factors are these ESG factors that we're talking about: environmental, social, and governance. I'm particularly interested in the environmental part because climate change clearly is real, affecting a lot of people. So for those guys who are in Nigeria, will tell you that we had a huge problem with flooding this year, which is really a direct consequence of climate change, whether we like it or not. So what this sustainable finance is saying is that let's look at the consequences of our decisions, not just on the basis of making profits, but how are we doing with respect to water management, recycling processes, energy efficiencies, and so on and so forth. This is a very, very crucial thing to look at. We also look at the social aspect of it. So you would want to know if this workspace is actually inclusive. Is it actually trying to help women go into the workforce, right? Yeah, so I spoke to the environmental aspect with respect to flooding and what have we. We spoke about the social aspects as well. So you really want to see a workspace or an investment decision made with respect to diversity and inclusion. Clearly, Nigeria is facing a lot of challenges with respect to this. So sustainable finance tries to unify people, bring things together, rather than take them apart. And the last concept is the concept of governance. So that's the G, and it looks at ethical standards, corruption, stakeholder engagement. So you're trying to cite a company in a community. You really want to make sure that the community has a buy-in in terms of what you are actually doing. How do you actually deal with your shareholders? Do you give too high a bonus to your management and give very little to your employees? All these are governance factors. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. And why is this important? These are factors, I think you would agree with me, that are quite endemic in Nigeria: corruption, industrial pollution, deforestation, non-inclusive workspaces, and income inequality. And what sustainable finance says is, look, we do have these problems, we understand, but could we actually vote with our money? Can we vote with our feet to say that we are only going to invest in companies that have a written commitment not to engage in corruption? That's ESG. Can we have a company that says, okay, right now we send a lot of waste into the river systems. We are going to actually clean up some of the water we use by recycling it, and then leave some of it to the community to use. Deforestation, again, that's a huge factor. We want to see companies getting funding or money that have a commitment to say that we are not going to cut down trees without planting new ones, for instance. So all these issues and problems we have in Nigeria can be helped or mitigated or ameliorated with sustainable finance, as we are going to see in the next couple of slides. Next one, please. Thank you. So like I said, we are actually going to be looking at some examples, and I apologize if I'm not using any examples in education, because I am a consultant, I deal with industries. But I think you guys can draw the link between the industries and education. So this is an example of a company called Sahel Capital. For some of our participants in Kano, this Sahel Capital actually invested in L&Z, the company that sells milk in Kano, dairy products in general. And what Sahel Capital says that we are going to provide capital. We'll try to knowledge the capital base that we have within the company and within Sahel Capital as well. And more importantly, they are going to generate returns while at the same time impacting lives. You do not see this with normal commercial banks or financial institutions saying that we want to impact lives. They simply say we are going to generate returns, and impacting life is not our core mandate. So what I have is a graphic on the right, and I hope you guys can read it. When Sahel Capital buys into an investment, it looks at two things. The SAEs, these are smallholder agricultural enterprise. So instead of just lending or giving money to... Thank you for that. One Thank you. You want firms to receive the capital that would enable them grow, but while at the same time having them get better access to inputs and the finance that would help them grow even further. So the net effect of that is that you're going to see jobs created because you are actually opening up new grounds. You may actually see women being empowered, because if you are providing sustainable finance, you can provide a condition that says that you want at least 30% of your employees to be women. Obviously, you have 50% women in Nigeria. You really want to see more women going in there. And by pushing them through sustainable finance, you can get that done. So ultimately, the revenue or the return that companies intend to get, they would get. But you also enhance the social livelihoods of those individuals or those companies. Next slide, please. All right, so this is another example. It's called Alithea Capital, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But what this company does is that it only invests in women-led entities. Why would it do that? Because we understand that there are unequal opportunities between men and women. And if most of the decision makers are men who are allocating funds to other men, then women are basically discriminated upon. So this is a capital that, or rather a company that says, hey, we are actually going to direct most of our investment towards women so that we can give them a sense of belonging within the community. And again, this company called Real Fruit, I have it in the bubble. It's a company that is entirely run by women. They provide frozen, I believe, fruits. And it has catalyzed it into the creation of more than 200 direct jobs and maybe up to 1,000 or 2,000 jobs. So this is something that is crucial. And this company, Real Food, really wouldn't have gotten any funding if it weren't for this window, because most people would just overlook it, say that cultural reasons, this is a women-led company, maybe they're going to be pregnant in the next 2 years, and then the company is going to go under, or whatever. These are discriminatory, I mean, clearly. But if you have a capital that says, hey, we're actually trying to work with you, let's see what you have. As long as it makes sense, it's going to create an impact, we're willing to work with you. We're in it for the long haul. So next slide, please. Again, this is another example. And the reason why I'm actually talking about these examples is just to expose some of our participants to the options that are out there. We really have to be entrepreneurs. In addition to making an impact in our community, one of the best ways to make an impact in our communities is to actually start businesses, right? And if you want to start a sustainable business, one of the best ways to do that is to actually get a sustainable finance, because they are willing to work with you. So this is another example called Babangona. It's a huge farm in Niger State of Nigeria. And what you see on the right-hand side is, instead of just looking at the profits that the company is making, it actually tells its investors what impact they make in the community. So how do we impact the communities we serve? How many jobs are we creating? Are we actually doing anything with respect to food security, which is a huge problem in Nigeria? So the small scale farmers we are dealing with, are we actually increasing their profitability? And the last one deals with education, which I think you guys deal with a lot. So in addition to the financial profits, we really want to see more kids going to school within those communities. So that is a condition in terms of investing in that company. So I think really this is a very, very interesting concept that really pushes people to do good while at the same time making money for themselves as well. Next slide, please. If you can roll up just a bit. All right, thank you so much. This is a project I'm working on currently here in Kano, okay? GIZ, I think, Michael, you guys are probably from Germany, I'm guessing. GIZ, you would know, is actually supporting tanneries in Kano to become more efficient, okay? Why are they doing this? Because there's a lot of pollution. So I have this graphic on the right showing you pollution. With respect to tanneries, it uses a lot of water that goes to industries, eventually don't come to individuals to drink. So GIZ said, hey, we actually can do this better, right? How can we mitigate some of those problems? How can we reduce pollution? How can we increase water recycling? And how can we improve communities? Let's find a sustainable finance source that says, hey, this is actually our mission. We really want to help communities do this without sacrificing the fact that we want to make money doing it. Don't get this wrong, okay? People are trying to make money doing this while at the same time trying to help the society, okay? So next slide, please. And I see Stephen saying something about GIZ, so I'm happy you guys are actually paying attention, okay? Great, so in terms of the opportunities and challenges, I don't want to go through all of them, but for the guys here, I would want to focus on the opportunities. So if you're dealing or if you have a startup idea with respect to agriculture or sustainable land use, you really want to be looking at sustainable finance, because these are the people who are willing to work with you for the long haul to make sure this thing works, okay? If you're trying to deal with renewable energies, typically you want to deal with sustainable finance sources, because these things tend to take time. And sustainable finance says that, hey, we are patient. We are willing to give you the chance to succeed because we want to make money, but we also want to help communities. You can see other areas as well where there's a lot of funding from sustainable finance going into transport, industries, sustainable cities, and so on and so forth. Clearly, there are some challenges, but we don't want to focus on those right now. Let's be positive, right? So next slide, please. This is the last slide I have. These are a couple of links that would give you some sources of finance and also more information if you want to read, if you want to have like a deep dive on what sustainable finance is, how can I leverage it to start a business, grow a business, and do other things as well. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you.